what kind of talk to give. If you know me well by now, Amazon is in the business of what's called cloud computing next to actually selling books. Is there any Amazon customers here? Is there someone that's not an Amazon customer? Can I talk to you later?
Speed is irrelevant if you're going in the wrong direction. Now, if we are going to be pursuing higher consumption, higher production at the cost of the environment, clearly we are going in the wrong direction.
They didn't consider that technology might have any kind of long-term trend or direction, that there could be changes in the underlying technology and infrastructure. All that history was about, for most of humanity, as far as they saw it, was that there could be one ruling clan being deposed by another or one nation warring another, but no changes in the underlying basic parameters.
To each group, I said, now let me tell you some rules. Each group of 4 can use only 1 laptop and not 4 laptops. You can make your own groups. You can change your groups and walk across from one group to another. You can talk as much as you like across groups, within the groups. You can also go from one group into another group, see what they're doing, come back to your own group and claim the work as your own. And I explained to them that much of science proceeds in this manner.
And most importantly, people could have access to me how they wanted me. If somebody would click on, make an appointment, they'd visit my site, they'd see my Google Calendar, they'd choose a time, I hacked the Google Calendar so they could tell me their symptoms and their address, my iPhone would alert me, I'd do a house call, and they paid me via PayPal. It was that simple.
I'm feeling that the greatest contribution that the new media can make to changing the world is the obsessiveness that we bring to it. Mainstream media suffer from attention deficit disorder, and new media suffer from obsessive compulsive disorder, and thank God for that.
We need to have a government where tolerance of failure is more accepted. We have to craft public services that are finely tuned at scale on day one, and there isn't a single industry that kind of level of expectation can be met. And the one thing I've learned in the last 18 months in talking to digital startups is just test it. If it doesn't work, bin it, scale it up if it works. And in government, we've got to release some of that latent innovation that sits at all layers.
So these things might all seem kind of far-fetched, but consider still, though, if the Earth had formed 1 year ago, if you compress the timescale just to get a sense for these things, then Homo sapiens would just be 12 minutes old. The Earth formed, last January, and 12 minutes ago, roughly when I started talking, Homo sapiens evolved. Agriculture 1 minute ago. Industrial revolutions took place less than 2 seconds ago. Electronic computers just 0.4 of a second ago, and the internet just 0.1 of a second ago, literally in the blink of an eye.
Ultimately, I think that introducing these game-like elements into very difficult problems makes them achievable, especially to a generation raised on video games. It is a very organic and natural incentive, and I think they're very powerful motivators.
So imagine, so what could be your worst nightmare, or what used to be your worst nightmare? Yeah, you would throw a party and no one would come. Now, your worst nightmare on the web is actually something the opposite. You throw a party and 1 million people come.
I love the theme of the summit, because for me, what we do is ultimately about impact. And there can be no impact without people being activated. And the theme of every session here is about not just giving people information, but activating them.
And one of the most important applications of ICT that I see now is in this question of accountability. ICT brings with it, obviously, enormous power to collect, transmit, analyze, and store data, information. And one of the best ways, as we all know, to hold the state accountable is through the budget. Most people get very bored when we talk about accountancy, but really it is about follow the money. And if we can put budgets online, if we can put a country's budget online, not just the P&L, so the flow of money, but the balance sheets of assets and liabilities, and let the citizens scrutinize it, let them look at it, absolutely critical.
I believe that they're learning, not because all of them have a computer, but because they're clustering in groups of 4 around the computer. The discussion that goes on with Google and Wikipedia and Ask Jeeves is what was getting stored in their brains. I wanted to check that, and here is one last experiment. One of the most unbelievable experiences in my life. We had a little bet up in the staff room. People said, you know, you social scientists get carried away with your own hypothesis. So you are saying that children can do everything on their own. I said, well, it's not exactly, but I'm saying that children who don't have anything else should be allowed to try to do everything on their own.
Amazon is a technology company, and the kind of revolution that we've brought into the web world or the technology world by actually providing our internal technologies as electricity to the rest of the world.
It's of course been amazing to see how technology and the internet were instrumental in the coverage of the uprising in Iran. I mean, that was a defining moment for new media.
People seem to take their freedoms and democracy for granted, and I would urge you to cherish them and do everything you can to hold on to them, because they are often very easily lost.